Well, TikTok is certainly not AI, and while it seems like a fun tool to a lot of young people, the real dangers of having China collect data on our children is not something we can ignore. Congressman Russ Fulcher of Idaho is working hard to do something about it, and he joins us now. Congressman, great to have you on CenterPoint.
My pleasure. Thank you. And I just appreciate the opportunity to communicate with you today.
Well, it's an important topic. Clearly, we're learning about the dangers of TikTok. The CEO went before your committee. I would say he got smacked around a little bit by both sides. So what is coming out of this? What protections might Congress enact?
Frankly, I was a little bit surprised to see that there was bipartisan disenchantment, if you will, with our friends at TikTok. And I do think there is going to be some action coming out of it. Possibly an outright ban that would pass through the House. I do not think that would pass through the Senate and get signed into law. However, what I do think will come out of that will be some relatively significant data privacy legislation that will pass. And that's an incredibly important step to try to get some protections for the privacy of the information that we have that gets accessed online.
So TikTok obviously is the most popular, but fads come and go, or maybe it could be driven out of access to America. But you got Instagram Reels, Snapchat, others that might be the next big thing, others in development. How do we protect the infiltration that might happen from another company?
Well, that's a very good question, because just because TikTok happens to be owned and operated through Chinese channels doesn't mean that we don't have that same type of fear from American companies. The only difference is that potentially it's much more accessible to our enemies than perhaps a Facebook or a Twitter or whatever, Instagram, that may be. So the bottom line is there's got to be guidelines. There's got to be transparency. You know, the other thing, Rob, is you combine that information with artificial intelligence mechanisms and the thought shaping, the tracking, the consolidation of information on whomever are using those apps is just mind-boggling. This is very damaging. It's damaging to adults. It's damaging to kids, and it's crying out for the need for some data privacy and some control here.
I like what you had tweeted a few weeks ago. TikTok poses as a Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, but it acts like Big Brother. I think that encapsulates it very, very clearly. Let me talk to you about some other really big news that was made last week. The EPA, Biden administration, basically trying to upend the entire auto industry by forcing, in the next 9 years, basically 2/3 of vehicles will be electric. Obviously, there's going to be pushback, but if I'm going to go out and buy a car in the next couple of years, what should I do? Can I still buy a gas car? And what's Congress going to do to push back on this?
Well, I think I think you will be, frankly, but first of all, you have to grapple with what's really being pushed by this administration. They're trying to basically ban gas vehicles and push electronic vehicles. At the same time, they're attempting to ban mining and the resources necessary to build the electronic vehicle. So the policies make no sense whatsoever. So on the congressional front, we're trying to do a couple things, and I think we'll have some success, and I certainly hope so, is put some common sense into our natural resource laws so that we can actually control the resources that are necessary for these things and knock off this war against fossil fuels in the first place. We've got a tremendously good record when it comes to improving our carbon emissions within this country. We're the cleanest developer in the world, and we need the all of the above energy strategy, not just to fuel automobiles, whether they be electric or gas powered, but to power our lights and the heaters in the winter and the air conditioners in the summer. So we need to focus on those things. That's where Congress is putting our energy right now, and unfortunately, the administration is not. And so we have to try to offset that through the congressional channels.
Congressman, we really appreciate you coming on CenterPoint tonight, and we hope you come back.
Look forward to it. Thank you for having me.
All right. When we do come back, an honest gauge on the strength of our economy from an expert who knows. And later, the Reverend Sam Rodriguez on the new Jesus Revolution. Stay with us.